Mel Gibson starts off sounding measured here. Then he says one thing that makes it pretty obvious that he's done with Hollywood.
It seemed like there was resistance to that movie.
Oh yeah, no, there was,
which I thought was very strange. There was like Hollywood resistance to that movie. Like people didn't like that you were making it. It seemed like.
Yeah, there was a lot of opposition to it, and I don't know. I think if you ever hit on that subject matter, you're gonna get people going, because.
Of course.
It's big subject matter, and it's like, and my contention is, when I was making it, it was like, you're making this film, and the idea was that we're all responsible for this, that his sacrifice was for all mankind, and that for all our ills and all the things in our fallen nature, it was a redemption. So, and I believe that, I actually am. I was born into a Catholic family. I'm very Christian in my beliefs, So I do actually believe this stuff to the full. So depicting that was an honor, but it was also, you got the daylights beat out of you for it.
Yeah, because there's resistance, first of all, from secular Hollywood, where for whatever reason, Christianity is the one religion that you're allowed to disparage.
Yeah.
Christianity is the one religion where people... all these progressive, open-minded, leftist people, they'll embrace all these different religions until it comes to Christianity. And for whatever reason, that represents like white male, whatever it represents, colonialism, whatever it represents, it's negative.
Yeah, sure, it's gotten a bad rap. And people do feel free to beat up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I regard the Gospels as history. It's verifiable history. Some people say, "Oh, it's a fairy tale. He never existed, but he did." And there are other accounts, verifiable historical accounts outside the biblical ones, that also bear this up. That yes, he did exist. And the other aspect of that is that all the evangelists, the apostles who went out there. Every single one of those guys died rather than deny their belief. And nobody dies for a lie. Nobody.
Right. Yeah. Well, the resurrection is the one that is the most difficult for people to swallow.
Yes.
That's the one that requires the most faith.
The most faith and the most belief, yeah, resurrection.
Yeah.
Who gets back up 3 days later after he gets murdered in public? Who gets back up under his own power? Buddha didn't do that.
So guys, I've seen The Passion of Christ, and The Passion of Christ was a very interesting movie. I guess obviously depending on the angle you came at it from. All right. So when it came out, I was really young. I think I was like 11, 12, maybe. So somewhere in there, guys, right? And it was brutal. I think that obviously I do agree with Joe Rogan here when he said that it is easy to basically beat up on anything that kind of involves kind of like white Americans or white people in general, because it just is easy to beat up on them. Basically. And I think they're both right now basically saying the same exact thing. So if Christianity is considered white, then by default, Christianity equals bad. And that is the narrative that is being pushed through Hollywood, along with like a good amount of the super woke Western societies. Back to the Passion of Christ thing. That was a very brutal movie. And it was very graphic. And, I would never let my kids see that film. Maybe later on in life, sure. The rating system alone basically set it up so kids weren't going to see it anyway, right? So there were two angles that people were coming at. It was incredibly brutal, and it represented Christianity. Christianity equals white men bad. That was the narrative.
There was Sigourney Weaver and a really nice actor called Michael Murphy. Los Angeles, he says, how should I put this? He says, in New York, you might get mugged, or, they'll say F you, or, whatever. But in Los Angeles, it's kind of like they want to sacrifice you. And I said, whoa, it sort of blew my mind that he said that. I said, what do you mean? He said,
dark, but it's true.
He said, you'll find out. If you go there. I'm like, what? It's like such a weird kind of,
I'll be in Central Park, please.
Yeah. And he said it, and he laughed about it when he said, they kind of want to sacrifice you. And I had this notion that he had been there and had been on the chopping block, or, I don't know. It was a weird kind of thing.
When I came over here,
I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
The first time I really came over here. You know, I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
They don't.
And and I formed a bunch of opinions about the town.
If it's not clear here, he's talking about L.A., Hollywood.
And about the people in it that were like, surely that couldn't be. Because a whole place can't be like, you know, Weird Town, you know, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up and he looks at him. And,
It's weird.
They tell you don't go into the house on the hill. And it's like that. And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. I mean, that's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like, could it? And then you find out later on the track that you were exactly on track with a lot of this stuff. Not specifically on track, but that you could, that some of your worst nightmares were real at the time, and you think...
You took a couple of years off, which I guess, was that because you didn't want to burn out, or was it because you had something that you wanted to do for a couple of years?
Yeah, well, you get to the place, you're in your 20s, and you're presented with a lot of things, and a lot of new games to play, and a lot of people, and money, and there's a lot of weird power games, and there's the studios over in California, and all this kind of stuff, and it gets to be a little bit overwhelming while you try and figure out, firstly, who you are.
Right, of course.
Because, you know, in your 20s, you don't really have a sense of yourself yet. And then try and figure out what the game is. So I felt I needed to take a breather because I was a little overwhelmed by the whole thing. It was, this tide was carrying me, and I wasn't in control of it. It was controlling me. So I just stopped. I bought a farm, and I grew organic vegetables, and I raised cattle, and I milked a cow, and the whole thing, you know. And that lasted about a year and a half, and I thought,
You got bored?
This is not a great business, and it's breaking my back.
Guys, I can only imagine how stressful this type of environment is when you're dealing with a gigantic amount of people that have power, influence, money, and money enough to basically do all types of absolute debauchery at any time of the day. They can fly someone from some random small country, middle of nowhere, basically give them $1,000, do all types of craziness, let's just say this year, and then fly them back. All right? I mean, guys, the uber wealthy and powerful are inherently, occasionally weird, guys. I'm sure you heard of the Dubai porta potty type situations out there, guys. Money equals, like, that type of money equals absolute weirdos. A lot of weird things happening, guys. Listen, the energy that basically kind of exists in some of these scenarios tend to absolutely be detrimental to the human condition. Let's just say this here. Mainly if you follow the Diddy stuff, if you're following the Epstein stuff, guys, okay? There are a lot of weird people that will utilize their money to engage in breaking all types of inhibitions, okay? They do this. This is not something new because, again, it follows copious amounts of money. I'm not surprised that he has left Hollywood, guys. Kind of large scale. I'm not surprised at all because I think most people kind of realize that life is absolutely not real. Listen, make your money and leave. Start going to colder climates. Okay. This is a trick here. This is like a serious trick that I've kind of learned kind of in my industry. If you want to get away from the weirdos, and absolutely, you want to get away from the weirdos, go to cold places because the cold places keep the bad people away. The colder the place is, the better the people. Generally. Like, seriously. Like, think about that. Like, put it together for a second here. Put it together. Look at Miami. That's a no. Look at California. Large scale. That's a no. But some of the best people you generally will encounter will be in colder climates. So I think it's just time for people to start moving around, not getting stuck in this absolute cesspool known as Hollywood, guys. But either way, guys, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And in the meantime,